Welcome back to the Archetype of the Week. I am Emily, your host. I guide visionary humans in building impact through spiritual leadership, seasonal rhythm, and soul aligned execution. This segment is our ritual pause. Each week, we work with an archetype as a doorway into deeper awareness because who you are becoming determines what you're able to hold. We move through awareness, awakening, and reclamation. What's ready to be seen, what's ready to grow, what's ready to be reclaimed. So I want you to listen for what resonates, and that is your work this week. Let's begin. Last week, we worked with the Siren. She was representing desire, pull, what calls you towards life. And this week, we're moving into something that is going to steady that energy of desire. So the archetype for this week, and I am reading this for the week of March 2nd, 2026, we have asked, when I did this reading, when I pulled the cards, our guides, angels, our divine source of the utmost light, love, and compassion, make this land for whatever energetic portal you are in right now. So we are exploring this week the vow. If you are watching on YouTube, I'm going to have a picture of the card right here. So you can see that the image carries a crown energy, connection upward, connection beyond the personal self. The vow is about commitment. This commitment is not one in pressure, though. It is just simply a quiet, steady commitment. And this card opened up with a question that most of us are not really asking directly, and that is, what are you actually devoted to? What are you actually devoted to? Not what you hope for, not what you post about, not what you say matters, but what is your life organized around? Because every human life is structured around a vow, whether it was consciously chosen or not. Some people are living a vow for approval. Some people are living a vow to safety, some to productivity, and some are living a vow to never being hurt again because of that one time in their past, or maybe it was their childhood. And some begin slowly to live a vow to truth, their unique truth, what we call it rise to her, our soul aligned values, and our unique soul code. Because when a vow is spoken, something changes internally. There is a direction that appears for our energy to go towards. Decisions start organizing themselves around this commitment. And this is why across time, and when we look back over history, we see stories that consistently include oaths and promises. And this wasn't about building drama into this. It was truly a direction for where the story was going to go. When you declare who you are and what you stand for, your behavior begins to align around it. So this archetype is asking you for honesty. I want you to look at your days. I want you to look at your patterns. Look at what you repeatedly tolerate and what you protect. This is your vow in action. The vow also brings us to the power of our word. Back in college, I was assigned to read the 4 Agreements. Yes, it was literally an assignment in college, and that book changed my freaking life. If you have not read it or you haven't read it recently, I want you to go get it right now. It talks in that book about be impeccable with your word. Recognize that your words create a spell. And so this card is bringing awareness back to that, to the power of the promises we make to ourselves, especially. Maybe that promise that you're continually saying to yourself is, I'm the one who holds everything together, or I can't slow down, or I always mess this up, or I have to be the dependable one. Those are vows, and you have likely been keeping them very, very faithfully in your life, and that is leading to an external relationship with other people and a relationship with life that you probably have not been loving if those are the things you're saying, because your life will organize around the identity you repeatedly confirm. That, in research terms, we call that confirmation bias. But in energetic terms, what we're doing is speaking something into existence. And so here's where the shadow appears, okay? The shadow of this card. In every archetype, there's a light and dark, right? And that doesn't mean evil. It just means the light isn't being shown on the full spectrum of possibility, and we hide parts of ourselves away in order to be accepted. So the shadow of the vow is when the vow of ourselves, of our life, is unconscious, and we allow conditioning to write it, meaning these old rules that we once had write it. pain that we once experienced is writing it, or we're just so based in fear and scarcity that is our vow. And you wake up committed to a life that you never consciously chose. But the vow is inviting us into awareness and then choice. So we need to become aware of what we're doing in our life and where we are allowing unconsciousness to create, to build our business, our income, our relationships, and then we can move into choice. The vow is also connecting us to something larger than the personal self, and that is your participation in the world, your relationships, your work, your community, your contribution. You did not come to this timeline randomly. There is a way that you naturally care, build, guide, protect, create, even connect with other people. And part of this archetype is remembering that your life has direction when you align with your unique soul code. Right now, a lot of people are in transition. Almost everyone I've been talking with, having sessions with, they're in this liminal space of transition. And ceremony helps the psyche reorganize. So without acknowledgement of where we currently are and what we're currently have built our life around, we remain between identities. And that really elicits this feeling of confusion in our brain or cognitive dissonance. Right now, many people are in transition. The early part of the year is shifting things internally. They're questioning, what do I want this calendar year to look like? What do I want to feel this year? So our plans are changing, our identities are softening, or saying, well, is that really what I want? But pulls you ignored previously, they're getting louder. The veil is thinning. And the vow is asking you to mark that change. Witness the change, the possibility, become more conscious to your life. Humans have always marked transitions. That is why I absolutely love teaching ancient rituals and the wheel of the year inside of Rooted My membership. And so if you are resonating with feeling this transition, I want to invite you to participate in ceremony and rituals, right? Ceremony helps the psyche reorganize, because without acknowledgement, without bringing consciousness to what was once unconscious, we remain between identities. And that creates a lot of confusion, a lot of unrest, a lot of frustration in our body. So the ceremony I'm inviting you into isn't something that has to be super elaborate. Some examples of a ceremony could be a written statement of what you are vowing to. Could be a conversation you've been avoiding, so you are vowing to keep your word, to repair what has been ruptured. Maybe it's a boundary that you're holding, or a decision that you're naming out loud and you are owning it because you kept it quiet because you were scared to tell people because you didn't want to fail, right? Something that tells your mind, I am choosing differently now. But I want to flag this for you because commitment is not a single moment. It is a daily choosing. I talk about this in relationships all the time, right? It is a commitment every day because you choose your partner again and again every day, right? We just relied on how we felt and the experiences to create our emotions and to rely on chemicals. Oh my gosh. Well, a lot of us have done that. And what does that lead to? Addiction, burnout, cycles, absolutely hating our life because we're just so reactionary to it. So I want to invite you into this daily choosing your work again, choosing your integrity again, choosing yourself again. Hey there. If your body keeps asking for a different pace than your life allows, if you're moving through the year without clear moments to pause, reflect, or reset, if your intuition keeps whispering and you keep overriding it, Rooted was created for you. Rooted is a seasonal living membership for people who want a more ritualized, spiritually connected way of life, one that actually supports the work and impact they care about. Inside of Rooted, you learn how to live in rhythm with the wheel of the year, when to initiate, when to tend, when to rest, when to release, so your energy stays intact instead of slowly wearing thin. You'll explore your soul contract, work with energetics, and build practices that help your intuition guide your decision, not just inspire them. You get access to workshops like Shadow Work Portal, the Portal of Joy, and the Soul Contract Workshop, along with a growing vault of meditation and somatic practices this community returns to again and again. We gather for live full moon magic calls, bi-weekly coaching sessions with me, and weekly integration prompts to help you stay anchored in the season you're actually in. Rooted is available at a special pricing. You can join for less than $1 a day, or receive full year access at 50% off. Rooted is for the curious, for those who want to stay devoted to their work without losing themselves in it. You can join at www.risetoher.com/rooted, or you'll find the link to join in the show notes. I'll see you inside. The vow is not saying you have to get it right every single time, but it is saying I am oriented towards a destination. I am vowing to this type of life. Another part of this archetype is support. Humans keep commitments better when they are witnessed, and meaningful change is able to stabilize in community because being around others who are also choosing consciously matters. It makes you feel more energetically supported. It rearranges things to know that you don't have to do this alone. There's another aspect of the vow that I do not want us to miss. And that is that the vow is not only personal, it is a relational opportunity that it exists between you and your life, but it also exists between you and other people. And when you commit to living more consciously, it will change how you speak. It changes what you tolerate. It changes how you lead, how you love, how you're able to show up in a room. And your ability to change how you show up in other people, that has a big impact on the world. Because the moment you begin honoring your word, especially the word you give yourself, people around you will feel it. They begin to trust you differently, and your decisions start carrying more weight, right? Because they know that I can rely on this person. And when you do this, your leadership will become much more clear, whether that's inside of a business, whether that's leading a team inside of your family. And then this is not anything to do with controlling more, but it is truly having an orientation point to follow. The vow is what turns inner work into an opportunity to create lived impact. But I want to stay here for a second because there is something that sneaks in when we start talking about vows, and that is shame. And energetically, shame is one of the lowest vibrations that we can exist in. When we look at the places we haven't kept our word, there's this pull to make it mean something about who we are. I'm someone who doesn't follow through. I say I want things and then don't actually do them. And the tricky thing is the energy of a vow can tip. It can tip from devotion into control, right? From intention into this kind of quiet rigidity where every unkept promise becomes evidence against you, right? That confirmation bias we talked about earlier. It becomes where you are not living the vow anymore. You're just trying to prove you are a kind of person who could. And that is not a vow of light. There's another term that I've been talking a lot about, especially as we look at the external world. We're looking at politics. We're looking at harm being done to our planet. And it's this topic of moral absolutism, the idea that there is a right way to commit and anything less is failure. And that is not what this archetype is pointing to. A vow of light has room in it. It has accountability without punishment. It can be renewed, right? It gets renegotiated as you grow. It does not need you to be perfect, but it does need you to be honest. And I say that because there are so many conversations of saying this is the only right way to be this type of person or to be a good person, which then creates division. But part of this self-leadership, this connection to being both fully human and fully divine is recognizing that so within, so below, or we are all mirrors of each other. And that is not to say we don't have consequences for doing things against values or something that is a lower vibration or harmful, right? But it's to say that when we get so stringent about this is the only way, there's only one right way to be good, we create division among people that have the same vision of life that we do. We lose it in the nuances. We create shame and blame and ridicule, and we create this dynamic of othering people that truly want the same thing as us. So the vow is an opportunity to renew, to refocus, to orient on something bigger than ourselves, to open the conversation and say, what do you really want? The vow that actually changes you is not the one that you are holding over your own head. It is the one you keep coming back to time and time again, and not because you are ashamed, because you are remembering your divine purpose, your soul contract, the opportunity that you get to have in this timeline. So if you've broken a promise to yourself, honestly, that is the whole work right there, because the vow is not dead because you stumbled, right? It is alive because you are still here. And what most people find once they start coming back to themselves is that it's really hard to hold something new inside of an old environment alone. We are communal creatures. We are not built for aloneness or just individualistic tendencies. We stabilize change when it gets witnessed. We keep our word more consistently when someone else can see who we are becoming and just reflect it back. And that is part of why I created Rooted. It is not just another place to consume ideas. Inside of Rooted, which is my monthly membership, we get to live them, where the archetypes become something lived, where we get to explore how to move through them, with our decisions, our boundaries, our conversations, the way we lead, the way we rest. This week inside of Rooted, we're going to work with the vow directly. Integration prompts, we explore it deeper. I do a deeper energetic reading there, looking at what we're already committed to, consciously or not, and where we're ready to recommit with intention. This is just one of the things that you get when you join Rooted. You can get a 7-day free trial that's linked in the show notes. We do this reading, this integration every week. We also have incredible life-changing workshops where you can unlock your unique soul code through your soul aligned values. I take you through an immersive workshop to unlock your orientation point and what you were uniquely designed. We explore soul contracts, we explore leadership, showing up differently so we can make an impact on this world in a way that matters. Structures are falling, systems are shaking. This is the opportunity to root back into who we truly came to be. Thank you for being here. We'll be back next week with another archetype of the week, and we'll be here later this week where we explore how to apply these concepts in our life. We do interviews with people that have risen into their highest self, that are on this path of creating impact with magic, seasonal wisdom, rich, ancient ritual, and honoring the humanity in order to experience their divinity. You can check us out on YouTube as well. We have a new channel. If you could subscribe, follow us along, and it would mean so much if you could leave me a review. And again, everything that I mentioned today will be in the show notes. You can explore Rooted. It also has so many meditations and somatic exercises so that you can continue to live this version. People say, well, how do I do this on a daily basis? Well, you need support, structure, and tools, that divine masculine in order to support that divine feminine of creating, flowing, and being the magic that you are. All right. I'll see you next time. Bye. Thank you so much for being here, for listening, reflecting, and rising into more of who you really are. If this episode sparked something inside of you or reminded you you're not alone, then you're exactly where you're meant to be. To keep the conversation going, come hang out with me on Instagram at rise2her. I always love hearing what's resonating for you. And if you're craving a space to explore intuitive, soul-led living with others who get it, our community is growing and you're always welcome. Until next time, trust yourself, honor your rhythm, and keep rising.